Hello, everybody. You're listening to the Big Chill Podcast. This is episode 877, World Cup Knockout Stage Preview. Hello, Big Chillians, and welcome back to the Big Chill Podcast. I'm Frank, joined as always with Eddie. The group stages are complete. The knockout rounds are soon to begin. But first, how are we feeling, Eddie?
Yeah, I'm a little tired. I went out late. Obviously, the England game kicking off at 11, and I'd already had quite a few drinks by the time the game even kicked off. And then I
11? It kicked off at 5. What are you talking about?
Yeah, and then I talked myself into the idea of like, well, Portugal-Colombia could be one of the best games of the group stages, so I have to stay out to watch Portugal-Colombia. I think I probably saw 95 seconds of Portugal-Colombia in total whilst I was just in a bar doing other things. And then, yeah, it was a late night that I probably didn't need. And turns out that going to the Vilandang on a Saturday night, not a performance-enhancing drug for my softball performance today either. So I can report, just in case the England team is trying to play around with the things they can tweak to improve performance ahead of the knockout stages, drinking until 6 a.m, not to be recommended for sporting performance. Shocker, I know.
Yeah, I think they probably already got that recommendation from Ben Stokes. So,
yeah, who I've had a mixed relationships with Ben Stokes at times. Undoubtedly, he has achieved some of the most iconic moments in English cricketing history. The Headingley Ashes win, and then the 2019 ODI World Cup final. Those are two of the most iconic moments in English cricket. And so for him to sort of star in both of those, you know, he's had a wonderful career, and even his winning percentage, I think he's the most successful captain in English Test match history based on winning percentage. I think that's a little misleading based on the way England play Test matches now.
Yeah.
I think for me, the last 3 weeks now of Ben Stokes' international career makes me feel like some of my impressions of Ben Stokes have been a bit justified. So for him, you know, we spoke on the podcast, obviously, with him breaking curfew and going out, and then he was sort of suspended for the second test of the series. He came back for this test, which is being played right now. And then midway through this afternoon, for reasons I can't quite understand, announced that he was retiring from international cricket after this match. And then made himself open the batting for England as they attempt to chase 350-ish runs, and came out, sort of smashed the ball around, got 30 off 20 and got out. It has a little bit of the I need to be the center of attention at all times, and I'm not a huge fan of it. We spoke about it a little bit with Ronaldo last episode.
But you love it.
This to me, Ronaldo will be taking notes on what Ben Stokes did. Ronaldo will be like, wow, could I announce, like, sort of between the end of, let's say it's Portugal-Argentina in the quarterfinals, could he announce before the penalty shootout starts that he's going to retire from football as soon as the tournament is over, and then put himself in goal to try and save the penalties? That's basically what Ben Stokes has attempted there.
Yeah, 15 years. He's only 35. So, I mean, probably had a little more left in the tank, but maybe he wants to retire before all accusations come out.
I don't think he does. When you look at him, he just looks worn down.
Yeah.
I mean, he's put his body through a lot for England, undoubtedly, you know, with the load that he takes both bowling and previously batting. His batting form has completely fallen off a cliff. So I think he's in that perilous situation. His bowling has improved in recent years, but he's getting to that tricky moment, which is a tough position to be as a cricketing captain, where people might start to have conversations of, does he deserve to be in the team? Well, it doesn't matter because he's the captain, so he has to be in the team. And he's probably jumped before he was pushed, but it's interesting it will be interesting to see what he does next, because, you know, for most cricketers nowadays, you go, oh, he'll just go and play T20, the franchise cricket across the world, and make tons of money. But I don't think Ben Stokes at this stage is that good of a T20 player, and I'm not sure that teams will be falling all over themselves to try and get 35, 36, 37-year-old Ben Stokes to come and play in the IPL, or I would bet we see him in Major League Cricket next summer. That's probably a likely place for him to go. But yeah, end of a sort of somewhat sad end to a otherwise great international career.
Yeah. Yeah, I remember both of those big instances you talk about. I watched both of those live, and they're super exciting. And those were some fun times watching those.
Yeah, they were. And now, before we get on to obviously the knockout stage talk that we're undoubtedly going to do, we sometimes pretend to be a travel podcast. I've got two travel related stories. I'll start with the first, which is a story from myself. I was booking my flights to Houston in a couple weeks, and I was booking them through the Air France website. And I got to a stage. I'm just flying economy. I'm a man of the people, but I wanted to pick my seat and try and get one with a little bit of like extra leg room within the economy. So I don't know. It was 89 euros to shift to the seat that I wanted to shift to. And I selected it, and then I went to checkout, and the total cost of this was now 89 euros, round trip to Houston. This was the amount being shown, and I was like, this can't be right. There's an issue here. But I was like, I have to do this.
You have
and
to try.
Hope,
You have to
and
try.
Hope. and I like clicked pay. 89 euros came off my card. Thank you for your purchase. I got sent like booking confirmation with my confirmation code. I like went into my app. My tickets were there, like return
Wow.
legs with my seat selected. I was like, oh my God, I've maybe found some kind of like glitch in the Air France website that I could now start taking advantage of on a consistent basis. And then like an hour later, it showed up as like I could still see the tickets within my app, but now it said that the purchase had not been completed.
Ooh.
And in the end, I just caused myself a massive nightmare because I had to end up speaking to their customer support, because I then had to rebook tickets, but then I couldn't get the seats that I'd paid for. And so I had this weird double reservation of 2 reserved seats attached to no actual booking, and then a booking, but with no seat selection. It took like 2.5 hours on the customer support call. So it wasn't great. Not worth it.
But they probably comped you a ton of stuff because it was their fault and everything, right?
Yeah, I think I get a free breakfast on the flight. I think
Amazing.
The extra, and the flight attendant will thank me for flying with Air France when I get on. I think that's what I get. It'll be worth it. It was all worth it in the end.
Oh, that is unfortunate. So close.
And second, this is a question for you. So you may not really know Andros Townsend. He was a Premier League footballer. He's commentating on the World Cup for I think for TalkSport or for radio, I think. And I think he's on some TV broadcasts or the sort of minor games for the BBC. He's like trying to turn himself into a little bit of a social media influencer, where he's a big raw food guy. So he eats raw steak. I get a lot of his videos just because I made the mistake of watching one of them, and I sent one of them to Sam because he's also one of the people who's really into the like wake up in the morning and make sure you stare at the sun for a while, because it's really important to take sunlight into you. That radically changes how your body behaves. So do like immediately wake up, sprint outside, stare at the sun for as long as you possibly can. It's definitely
Erling
good for you.
Haaland loves it.
Yes. And he's also a big believer. I don't know. He's trying to sell some kind of blue light glasses. It's all a little grifty. I'm not totally sure.
I think we've talked about this before on the podcast.
We may have done. But he was flying. He's obviously traveling around the U.S. for the World Cup. He is very particular about the food that he eats now, because he's a raw meat, specific food person. So he does not eat plain food, nor does he eat any food that you could get in an airport.
Oh no!
So
I know
he has
this is going.
He has to bring his own food.
Yeah.
And so he took a video of himself eating the food that he had brought onto his flight. And on the flight. So it's him with like a glass Tupperware, just eating his food, filming himself while he eats on this plane. And he asks a question: eating boiled eggs on an airplane, acceptable or inconsiderate?
Boiled eggs.
Yeah,
I'm going to go. They do have a little bit of a smell.
a little bit. I'm amazed you're hesitating about this.
Well, it depends on how you eat them. Because if you're just popping them in whole, then you can't really smell it. It's like once it's been like cut or like bit and then like the odor releases, then it's bad. But if you told me he had like a hard boiled egg already peeled and just took it and like popped it in his mouth and just like
Who
downed it.
who out there is just deep throating hard boiled eggs?
You
Who
know,
eats-
a lot of
what do
people.
you-
You've never
what do
seen
you-
that before?
What are you, a pelican? Like who's
A lot
eating
of
them that
people
way?
do that.
With just sticking it. I don't think I've ever seen someone just whole
You've
egg in
never
their
seen the
mouth.
movie The Replacements then. The lineman in The Replacements eats like 6 of them that way.
Okay. Didn't know that was our example of a normal human being. To me, it's totally unacceptable. It definitely smells. And
Yeah,
again, it's one
gross.
of those.
And then also you have the after smell as well. I mean,
Well, we won't get
eating a
into
bunch
that.
of eggs might cause some issues later on.
But, like, to me, that would be on the don't even do that in an office scenario. If I were
Yeah.
working with you oh, Frank, what'd you bring in for lunch? It's just a bunch of hard-boiled eggs, and we're just sitting there, and you're stinking up the office while you eat your lunch. But on an airplane where all the smells become so heightened because you have that
Yeah.
closed environment, you cannot take hard-boiled eggs on a plane. That is super inconsiderate.
But that's not really raw. I thought you were going to say he pulled out like a fucking raw steak or something. It was like eating a raw steak.
No, so yeah, he's not a full he's a raw meat person. And
Okay.
a lot of his videos are him saying, people think this is really weird, but you all eat carpaccio. And then I saw this video of him sort of saying, "Hey, you think it's weird, but if I just took this steak and sliced it up really thinly, and then put a little bit of cheese on top and a little bit of capers and whatever," and he was like, "And now it's carpaccio, and you think that's completely normal, and you would pay £35 for that at an expensive London restaurant." And it's like, you've also missed one step in carpaccio, though, which is they put sort of lemon juice or something else acidic
Acidic on
on.
it.
So you're kind of cooking it. You are
Yeah.
slightly cooking it. It isn't
Yeah.
completely raw, but
100%.
he ignored that.
Yeah, that is unfortunate to be next to that person for then. And then if that's a transatlantic flight, oh boy.
No, this was obviously just his caption was, "Here's the problem. Once I get through the security, I can't eat any of the food in the airport or on the plane, so I have to bring my own."
Which
And if the
I want to call slight BS on because I've seen hard-boiled eggs like as something you can buy in the Hudson News stores and stuff.
Yeah. Yeah, and there's definitely restaurants or a lounge somewhere where you could basically get. He said the options are that he considers he has 3 options to take on an airplane for his diet.
Okay.
So boiled eggs, raw steak, or
So
sardines.
stupid. I have to say, out of those 3 options, I would hope he pulls out the hard-boiled egg if I'm sitting next to him. If he pulls out a tin of sardines and opens up that fucking tin, I might slap him.
But raw steak, not a huge amount of odor there. I know in a plane setting you probably would smell
But
a bit
just
of the meat.
disgusting. Like, just
But
watching
if it was
someone eat, like, raw meat with, like, blood spewing out of it and stuff.
I'm assuming, because here's the thing: is he could prepare it in a way. I'm not expecting him to sort of just pick out a steak and then just be sort of gnawing on it, but he could dice up some raw steak and then just be eating that pretty discreetly. I
Ugh.
probably wouldn't even notice. You probably wouldn't assume that it was raw. If you just looked over and a person had a Tupperware and they were just eating some chopped up
I think
meat,
it's beets.
maybe. But I just can't believe you can definitely get sardines or something similar in an airport. You can definitely find
Yeah.
a
You can
like
definitely have
sardines or
hard-boiled eggs, for sure.
or anchovies or something that he must be considering okay. You can get those in places. I don't know why people just he's also, every one of his videos, he does a World Cup Diaries video, and it all starts with him waking up in the morning with his mouth taped and his nose strip on. Just, I don't know. It's weird to me.
Erling Haaland does like almost all of this as well. I saw a video on him, like his morning routine. It's very similar.
But then Erling Haaland is just Erling Haaland. What did I just say? Erling Haaland is
Erling
at
Haaland.
least a kind of
Erling Haaland
his,
is some random guy who may or may not be
yeah,
listening to the podcast.
yeah. You're welcome. You got a shout out. First podcast shout out in a while. Thank you for
Mr.
subscribing.
Holloman.
Um, at least he's a sort of unique looking specimen. So you could kind of say, whatever you're doing, keep doing it, I guess. I don't know. Did you see that? There were tons of people who showed up for the France-Norway match dressed up as Erling Haaland. They had the blonde wigs on, including Channing Tatum.
Channing Tatum. I saw that. Yeah. They did a
That's
commercial.
move. I think there's been too much celebrity coverage at the World Cup. I actually find it really tiresome, especially at the U.S. matches, that 10% of the matches basically is panning to, oh, there's Brad Pitt. Oh, there's Tom Cruise.
Paris
it's like,
Hilton.
it's like, how did Paris Hilton get to be the sort of center of attention on the pitch pre-match? Like, would have needed to be 20 years ago in order for that to make sense. But at least if you're going to do the celebrity at a game, do something weird like that, whether it's for a commercial or a promotion or not. At least then I can kind of get on board with it.
Yeah. So a weird one. So I've almost exclusively been watching the World Cup through UK means. So BBC and ITV, I think, are the two main ones, right? That are broadcasting it. Yesterday, we went to the British pub in Minneapolis called Brits Pub to watch the England match, and so I watched, the Fox version of it, and the intro for the Fox version for like whenever the games are about to start is Anya Taylor-Joy giving some sort of like 2-minute like like when the celebrity talks and then they show clips and it's like supposed to be this like cool thing. I really like Anya Taylor-Joy. Nothing against her. I have no idea why she is the spokesperson for American Fox Sports Soccer. Like, I get that she's English, but then supports Argentina because that's where she grew up. So, like, if it was one of those countries, maybe you've got a connection on me. But I don't get like why she was the one they picked to do the promos. It really makes no sense. Like, how they pick those things out is kind of weird to me.
Yeah, I'm going to say something here that is going to sound mildly sexist or misogynistic, I guess, but I feel like the voice for the promo, you need a little sort of bass and baritone in it to really get you the blood pumping a little bit. I think you have to go down the path of the sort of John Hamm, Hard Knocks sort of, that's what I need. And that's, again, it just sort of, I think it hits a little bit differently when you have that sort of sound, like an NFL Films sort of narration, rather than, oh yeah, that girl, the Queen's Gambit girl.
Like, yeah, but again, like what, like it's not, it's chess. Like, I can't think of a connection where she connects. Like, I don't get it.
No, she's just sort of, and she's also not that famous. It's weird on kind of all fronts of, she's famous and most people would recognize her. But at the same time, she's not so famous.
Yeah.
She's not in the, like top 100 most famous actors at the moment, I wouldn't say. If Queen's Gambit had just come out and it's sort of been, the pandemic, Queen's Gambit's huge, everyone's getting into chess suddenly, maybe you feel like she's having her moment, so let's get her on as part of the thing. But it's like,
and maybe like kind of like a like chess theme, the promo, like,
yes,
like who's gonna move their rook to the right spot and get a check, like blah blah blah. But you're way past that, and
yes.
maybe, I don't know, maybe this was only her week.
One match
was this week. Yeah, like that days was maybe just her days. I don't know because I don't watch the Fox, but it looked as if this was like a reoccurring thing that she's done a few of them for. So just strange. That's all. Thought it was weird. And especially because you have so many American celebrities that proclaim to love soccer that you think you could get one of them on.
So I asked Gemini, while not a sponsor, why she's doing this. And it said because her involvement with the FIFA World Cup coverage stems from her deep personal connection to football and her unique multicultural background, which aligns perfectly with a global tournament hosted across North America.
But
While she is a massive Hollywood star known for the Queen's Gambit and Furiosa, her ties to sport run much deeper than a standard celebrity cameo. She has deep Argentine roots, a globally rooted profile because she holds triple citizenship, American, Argentine, and British, and she has Hollywood star power.
Okay, I'll take back that I actually didn't know she had American citizenship, but I will stand by the fact that no one feels Anya Taylor-Joy is American.
Born in Miami, she moved to Buenos Aires as an infant and lived there until
Yeah.
she was 6 years old, growing up speaking only Spanish.
Yep.
She's a fiercely proud vocal supporter of the Argentine national team. Her public allegiance was on full display during the tournament when she turned heads by wearing an Argentina jersey to the USA-Paraguay match at SoFi Stadium.
Yeah.
She turned heads.
I know all that.
There were
She
people
turned my head.
singing. There were people in the
I was like,
stadium
"What?"
getting ready, and they couldn't recover. That's actually probably why Paraguay played that badly. Is they were all thrown by seeing her in the stands wearing an Argentina jersey.
I was so shocked, Eddie, that I wasn't even at the stadium. I was watching it in 2D on my television, and I turned my head in disbelief.
Unbelievable.
But yeah, no, like I knew all of that. I guess the American citizenship now makes sense. She pulled the Balagon. She's as American as Balagon is.
No, I think she's more American. I think she's way more American.
But yeah, like that's like, yeah, it's just weird. I don't know. I thought that was just kind of strange. I get that she's multicultural and everything, but she's not Canadian, American, or Mexican.
All right. So we've wrapped up the group stages. They finished last night. The knockout stages kick off today. It feels sort of bizarre.
Yeah.
It feels like they're very quickly
quick.
Upon us without any sort of, I would like one day just to sort of soak in the group stages and then feel like you transition to that next stage. But it is what it
Agreed.
is. Especially because it's a sort of underwhelming first knockout stage game. So but I want to give you I want you to be able to tell me, I've got some facts and figures and statistics from the group stages. You tell me the ones that you think are most interesting, most important.
Okay.
So, highest, the most number of goals ever scored in the group stages of a World Cup. So 215 goals were scored across the 72 group stage matches, completely shattering the previous tournament record of 172 goals that were scored in Qatar in 2022, although there were only 64 matches played in the group stages there. So in other words, 8 extra matches yielded 47 extra goals.
That's pretty impressive. I mean, I think probably the average then per match is probably still higher. But again, to be expected when you have more countries participating and a lot of lower bottom feeding countries that kind of just get picked on in games.
Yeah. And if you want to know, you can take a little bit of American pride here. The record-breaking 173rd goal was scored by USA forward Austin Trusty in match 59.
In Austin, we trusty.
So I guess, again, looking at that, the record was broken in the 59th match. So even if there were only 64 matches, the record would have still been broken.
Yeah.
The tournament broke the World Cup's all-time attendance record. So it's already surpassed the 1994 total attendance of 3.59 million fans. So, and they set a single day record of 426,834 fans attending the 6 group stage matches that were held on June 25th.
Nice.
The 1,000th match in World Cup history was played on June 20th, 2026 between Tunisia and Japan.
Memorable. So memorable, I don't remember what happened.
So I'll give you a little test of stats from the group stages. Do you, off the top of your head, can you name the 3 teams that won all 3 of their group stage games?
So who got 9 points?
Yeah.
Oh, shit. Argentina?
Correct.
Germany?
No.
Oh, no, that's right. They drew, right? Oh, no, they lost that last one because they didn't play. Fuck. Oh, France?
Correct.
Not Spain. Not England. Netherlands?
No, Mexico.
Oh, that's right. Mexico. That's right.
Yeah. Which team do you think had the highest average possession in the group stages?
Ooh. England has to be pretty high up there. They were at like 80 that second match, and they had to be close in the 70s, 80s that match. Is it England?
It's not. I mean, you're right, the final two matches, but I guess the Croatia game will have undone them. It was
Yeah.
Spain, 62% possession for Spain on average.
Okay.
92% pass completion rate. Who do you think had the highest shooting efficiency, as in the most number of like the conversion rate of shots to
Oh,
goals
boy.
in the group stages?
That could be anybody. I mean, it could be Cape Verde. Maybe they only had like 2 shots on goal.
Could be. I'll give you a clue in that, or I mean, not
Are they
really.
advancing?
They are. They made it through to the next round.
I'm just going to pick a random one here. Let's go with Senegal.
Japan. So 26% of their shots were goals.
Wow.
They scored 7 goals from 27 shots. I'm not sure the headline that they list the statistic on is totally PC because it's lethal Japanese efficiency.
Oh, boy.
Which team do you think covered the most ground in the group stages? So players ran the furthest distance cumulatively.
Every player combined on the team?
Every player combined.
Oh, Jesus.
Over the course of their 3 matches. You should have trusted the hustle of your own country. It's the United States of America, who covered a total distance of 358,610.48 meters across their 3 group stage matches.
No one hustles better than the United States.
No.
No one out-hustles us.
Most countries don't even have a word for hustle. That shows how much America hustles.
America has multiple words for hustle. That's how much we hustle.
I think it's fair to say America invented hustle. I think you can have that one. Moving on to individual player achievements. So Messi became the all-time leading World Cup goal scorer. So he overtook Miroslav Klose's 16 World Cup goals, and now sits on 19. Messi also became the oldest player in history to score a World Cup hat-trick at 38 years and 357 days. But not to be completely outdone, Ronaldo, with his goals against Uzbekistan, became the first and only player to have scored in 6 different World Cup finals.
Yeah, I saw that. It's a good stat.
Ronaldo also overtook Eusebio to become Portugal's all-time scorer in World Cup history with 10 goals.
He's back.
He's back.
Wasn't too back against Colombia.
No. Ousmane Dembele against Norway scored a hat-trick in only 32 minutes.
That was wild.
Which is the second fastest hat-trick from the start of a match in World Cup history. The record is held by Austria's Eric Prost. In 1954, he scored a hat-trick in only 24 minutes.
Wow. That's super quick.
Yeah.
Dembele wasn't even close.
No. We touched on this one after it happened, but Curaçao's goalkeeper Eloy Room made 16 saves in their draw against Ecuador.
God damn it.
Equaling Tim Howard's all-time single-match record that he set in 2014. Though the difference is that Room had 16 saves in 90 minutes, whereas Tim Howard's 16 saves, it was in a match that also had extra time. So you could kind of say that Room holds that record.
Demolished it.
And the Dick Advocat, who we obviously spoke about when we were together in London, the Curaçao manager, and we were speculating as to what his salary was. But he did become the oldest manager in World Cup history at 78 years and 271 days old.
Oh my God. That's old to be fucking managing.
And Hugo Bruce, managing South Africa, became the oldest manager to win a World Cup match at 74 years and 75 days old. And those are my group stage stats for you. Couple decent ones in there.
Yeah, not so bad. And I guess we should say we talked about pretty early on for teams advancing that 3 points would probably be enough to advance. Turns out that is actually almost not the case, and only one team that had 3 points advanced, and that was Senegal. All the rest of the teams on 3 points, Iran, South Korea, and Scotland, both failed to qualify for the knockout stages. So took 4 points basically.
Yeah. Yeah, which makes it feel a little bit better to be a sort of
Yeah.
lucky loser, but you at least had to get a result in 2 matches. So I guess obviously pre-tournament, we made our selections. I'm going to give us the opportunity to kind of repick now that we see what
Oh.
the knockout stages look like.
So we're gonna
because,
we're not gonna review how we did.
well, we can do because we can obviously acknowledge, I think, the biggest mistakes that we made looking back on it. I think the biggest one's probably Turkey, who we had winning the group and they were knocked out. So that was, and we're nearly the first team eliminated from the tournament. I
think they were. I think they were the first team.
So that's
the Hewitt curse right there.
Yeah. The other big surprises, I suppose, in
Portugal not winning.
Portugal not winning their group. Cape Verde obviously making it through to the knockout stages. We did not have that happening.
And Congo. I don't think we had.
We did not have the Democratic Republic of Congo making it through to the knockout stages. Other than that, I think we got things pretty close to accurate. I mean, we're not going to do victory laps because good teams winning groups is not all that surprising. But we didn't, we had Canada sneaking through, and they did. I think for the most part, we got actually most of the sort of third place teams right in the end.
Yeah.
But yeah, those couple of big surprises that we didn't see coming, but most didn't.
Now I'll let you go how you want with this. I think we had predicted Scotland to maybe make it to the knockout stages, to be one of the third place teams that just makes it. They unfortunately did not make it. How do you feel about that?
I think they're being a bit too hard on themselves, honestly, because, you sort of look at it and, I mean, it's not a fantastic tournament for them, a little underwhelming against Haiti, just sort of having that 1-0 win. They played well against Morocco, fell behind within a couple of minutes, and then actually played quite well against a good Moroccan side. They finished third in the group, which is what we thought they would do. So in a way, probably the results, I think we would have expected them to lose to both Brazil and Morocco. They did so. Yeah. It's just that we thought we thought they were going to beat Haiti by more and then put themselves in a good position to be the, and I think that's why they probably should kick themselves, because if they had an emphatic win against Haiti, they would have given themselves a chance of being the team with 3 points who snuck through.
Yeah. Because in the end, the goal differential for Senegal to make it was 2. So
yeah, and I mean, Scotland were on -3, so they would have had to really lay it on the goals against. But also, to be fair, had they kind of went into that match against Brazil knowing that they needed a result. And maybe if they'd gone in there with a better goal difference, they could have thought about not, trying to only lose by 1 or 2 rather than losing 3-0. They sort of they knew going into that they were all but out unless they were able to pick up at least a point against Brazil, which was always going to be tough. But yeah, I mean, I don't think it's a catastrophic tournament. I think there'll be a lot of disappointment that they couldn't have found a way just to get a draw against Morocco and beat Haiti by more than they did. But in the end,
it's unfortunate. They might have come up against the best second place team out of any groups.
Yeah, possibly.
Maybe Portugal. You would argue Portugal might be better.
Yeah, but where we would kind of say that then, Portugal underperformed. So yeah, but the Portugal group, Portugal, Colombia is probably the toughest top 2. But yeah, Brazil, Morocco is at least in contention. So there's no shame in the fact that they went out when they did. And I think they're being a little bit hard on themselves. But yeah, I mean, I think when you look at the Scotland squad, there are some very good players there, but it gets thin very fast. And so I don't think when you look at a team where you think there's maybe 5 or 6 players who are legitimately starting and starring for big clubs, and by big, I mean top half teams in any of the top 4 divisions in Europe. And then after that, you're kind of, there's some scraps there. And it's not that surprising that they then struggle against teams that have, world-class players in their teams.
And just my last note for the group stage, you had given a personal shout out to Uzbekistan, who you had personally witnessed play.
Yep.
You, in fact, definitely you would curse them. They were the worst performing country in the World Cup group stage with a 0-3 record and a -9 goal differential.
I mean, let's not try and spin it as
Actually,
if I
I
said
take
they
it
were.
back. Tunisia was -10, so I
Yeah,
guess you
let's
didn't
not. I
fully
wasn't
curse them.
exactly, and I think they were like kind of feisty. They weren't. I think they were more competitive than their record makes it seem. You even think to last night they were winning against the Democratic Republic of Congo for quite a bit of that match, and then sort of the wheels came off in the second half. Unfortunate. Unlucky that they played against Portugal in the only match that Portugal sort of clicked in. Did
Yeah,
they
that's
probably
true.
contribute to that by not being great? Yes, they probably helped Portugal play well. But at the same time, it was the one time that Portugal really looked like the team that we thought they were. And in the other two Portuguese matches, they were just struggling to get any type of rhythm.
I
But
just had some trivia questions for you, but I think maybe we can skip them. The only ones that you kind of didn't cover were what was the highest scoring country in the group stage? Most goals, not differential, just most goals.
France?
Yeah, France. It was a tie between France, Netherlands, and Germany, all sitting on 10 goals.
Yeah.
And
The
then what?
Germany one's a little bit hard because it's just the 7 goals from
The 7 from Curacao.
one match. Like France at least were consistently in all games scoring goals.
Yeah. And then what team scored the least amount of goals throughout the group stage? I'll give you a hint. It's only one. It's only one country.
Curacao?
Nope. Curacao had 1 goal.
Uzbekistan? Oh, no, they scored.
Nope.
They scored
They had
yesterday.
2.
What, Tunisia? Because you said they had the worst
They
goal
had
difference.
2 as well.
Who didn't? So someone didn't score.
Someone did not score. You will have watched at least one match.
Oh, because we watched it together?
No.
Oh, because they played against England.
Yeah.
Panama. Panama.
Yep.
Yeah. And I guess we can do a little bit of the kind of various postmortems as we get on, but we can repick now that we know what the.
Let's do it. Are you going to share so we can see?
I am.
Okay, perfect.
So unfortunately, we're not going to do this in the order in which the matches are played. We're going to do it in the order it sort of appears within the draw, just so listeners know. I know that South Africa, Canada kicks things off today, but sort of the top of the draw is technically Germany, Paraguay, and it's easier to kind of do it that way than it is to try and do it in chronological order. So Germany, Paraguay, sort of where we expected it to end up with a very winnable game for Germany in the first knockout round.
Yeah, Paraguay 3rd place in the U.S. stage. I think Germany is an easy win here.
France, Sweden. I guess France probably the team that looked the most impressive throughout the group stages. A little bit hard to judge because they were handed that kind of gimme against Norway when Norway rested 10 of their players. So maybe hard to gauge versus teams that had to play actual first-string teams in all 3 matches. But still, France looked very good in the group stages.
Yeah, I think France will win this. No problem.
South Africa, Canada today, kicking off in an hour and 15 minutes. So by the time people are listening to this match will have been played.
Yeah, this is 2 second-place teams, Group A and Group B. I think if you're a Canadian supporter, you got to be kind of happy with this. This is out of the second-place draws you could have gotten. This is, I think, one of the more winnable ones. Yep. It's tough. I think I'll take Canada.
I think I give the edge to South Africa, but it is tough. I think, and I know this has been covered a little bit, I think Canada can feel slightly aggrieved by the fact that they weren't basically guaranteed a home match as a co-host of the tournament. I think
that's bullshit.
I think Canada, the US, and Mexico should have been guaranteed that regardless of where they finished in their group, if they were able to qualify, that they were going to be playing on home soil. Certainly if they finished first and second. I guess that the third could have got a little bit complicated because he could have ended up all over the place. But Canada,
No, I
they should
agree.
have been able to.
'Cause
They should have been able to say like the second place in that group was going to be playing in Vancouver or Toronto.
yeah, because I mean, there are still in the knockout round still matches being played in Canada, so they could have
Yeah,
done it.
had they won their group, they would have had a match in Canada. I don't see why they couldn't have just said, "Let's just make sure in the scheduling that second place is also playing a match in Canada." That doesn't seem
Yeah,
tough to
agreed.
me. When you're looking at the USA and Mexico as the other co-hosts are getting knockout stage matches in their home country. It's, um, we're gonna play by the same rules. We've got one veto. I'm not going to use my veto on Canada, so we can put Canada through.
Okay.
Netherlands, Morocco, best
Whew,
match of
great
the
match.
knockout stages so
Yeah,
far.
yeah. Unfortunate for the Netherlands to win your group and then have to face Morocco.
Yeah,
I don't know. I think I'll kind of leave this one up to you. Morocco. I mean, the last few years have just looked better and better, and even in that group stage, they looked pretty good. I don't know.
they
This is
do,
tough.
and yeah, they're a tough opponent. But the one thing I will say is, I think the Dutch are a pretty complete side. Like they maybe got off to a slightly slow start against Japan. We obviously watched that match together, but
I will say, according to the FIFA rankings, this is the seventh and the eighth best countries facing off against each other in the round of 32. So again, super unfortunate to be one of these countries and have to have played one another this early on.
yeah, and I mean it's going to be interesting. So Cody Gakpo, I mean, I have to say, really sad story that came out that his their child uh, died. Their unborn child died. Um, he's decided to stay with the squad, so he is sticking through with the tournament. But he's one of their more important players. Maybe not in the best headspace now, understandably. So kind of have to factor that in a little bit. However, I mean, maybe it's a motivation. Maybe it will be inspirational for him and his teammates, but it could also be the type of thing where if he underperforms, it would be understandable. I think I'm going to give the edge to the Netherlands.
Okay.
I think they're more complete. Portugal, Croatia, another good game.
Another good match there. Portugal, to me, have looked very underwhelming.
Mm.
We've talked now, I think, on every episode about Ronaldo and them obviously playing through Ronaldo, and he looked great against Uzbekistan, but not great against two better countries, that were able to play him a lot better. And so I think I would stick with Portugal here, but I don't love it.
I feel pretty confident that this is a nice, like we saw Croatia against England. We saw what they look like against a sort of tier one nation. And yeah, they've got a lot of talent and experience still within their squad. But again, I'm kind of trying to think, where do they have the edge here against Portugal? And these are both teams that are overly reliant perhaps on some aging superstars. I'd rather be in Portugal's shoes than in the Croatian one. So I could see Portugal. I think there's a very likely outcome here where, yes, Portugal were underwhelming in the group stages, but heading into the round of 16, I think we could see Portugal get a good win, good, comfortable win against Croatia. And then there could be a lot of talk all of a sudden about Portugal hitting their stride at just the right moment and, peaking in the knockout stages and not in the group stages. And here we go. So I think this is prepare yourselves for maybe a little bit of Ronaldo mania in the first week of July. But yeah, I think Portugal will win this one. Spain, Austria.
Yeah, I think Spain easily on this one.
Yeah, probably. Although s- uh, Spain also a little underwhelming in the group stages. I think we definitely didn't see a version of them that resembled the team that won the Euros last time around. So they did what they needed to do, but I think they were as underwhelming as Portugal were in the group stages.
I mean, they haven't let up a goal so far.
Yeah, but they also haven't played the stiffest, like it's not the toughest group that they had, but they also, it's not as if they didn't concede any goals and won every match 3-0. They just yeah, I think Spain will win this, but I do think that both of the teams that we've just discussed have been a little under par in the group stages. USA, Bosnia.
Yeah. So the interesting fact here, I'm sure most of our listeners have heard it, but the U.S. has not beat a European side in the last 13 matches. That includes 10 straight losses to a European side. That's dating back to 2022, which was the start of it when they lost to Switzerland. I think being here in the U.S., there is a lot of talk of that this is basically like a walkover game, and I hate to break it to them. It's not a walkover game. I mean, like, yes, Bosnia is not a powerhouse, but they are not a team that's just going to fold super easily against the US here. I mean, they beat Italy in the qualifying to make it to the World Cup. So like they can beat good countries. I think the US will win. I think this might be like a 2-1 win in extra time.
Yeah, I think I feel quite similarly to you in that this is being treated, and it's reflected in the betting where the U.S. are actually one of the heavier favorites for this round. And I expect them to win, but I don't think this is like the PAT that it's being treated as. And if a week from now we're talking about the USA being knocked out by Bosnia, I will not be shocked. But yes, I think they should have too much. And obviously, like they played extremely well in the group stages. It's hard to tell exactly how good that opposition was because probably the only time they played a legitimately good team, it was Turkey in the final game. Turkey were already knocked out and Turkey beat them, admittedly with virtually the last kick of the game. But, you know, it does feel like the U.S. is looking a little too far ahead. I'm like you, I'm sure, receiving all those social media posts of this is the U.S. path to the final.
Yeah.
And here's who will almost certainly be playing Belgium in the last 16. I think it's a bit much, but I do think I think this is it. I think this is the last win the United States will pick up in this World Cup. Not to tip my hand there, but yeah, I think they win this one.
Yeah, agreed.
Belgium, Senegal.
A decent matchup here too, I think. Belgium have looked, talk about another team that seems like they're underperforming a little bit. They haven't looked spectacular. Picked it up finally in that last match, but again, against who? And at a large portion of that match, I think was like 1-0 or 1-1, right? Like they didn't blow them out of the water until the second half. And I just think hopefully that maybe that woke them up a little bit and got them into the right gear heading into the knockout stages. So I'll take Belgium to win this, but I haven't been impressed so far with them.
Yeah, no, I mostly agree with you. It looks like same old Belgium. We're here every 2 years with them.
Yeah, it's so annoying.
You can like talk yourselves into like, no, actually on paper the team looks really good, and there are these couple talented players coming through, plus a lot of experience, and then you watch them and just something never looks quite right. And yeah, I think they should be good enough to beat Senegal, but it's not a complete gimme. But yeah, I think they should win this. Brazil, Japan. I think we could probably expect this to be fairly straightforward for Brazil. I mean, Japan do bring lethal efficiency.
They're clinical.
Yeah. So Brazil have to be careful because this could be one shot, one goal for Japan, and Brazil are heading out of the tournament. But I think Brazil will have enough.
Yes.
Ivory Coast, Cote d'Ivoire against Norway. Interesting one. Norway obviously will be well rested, having had, 10 players sit out of that France match, which, again, in the end, France won 4-1. Maybe the scoreline slightly flattered them. I mean, France were kind of going through the motions, but obviously it was, 3-1, and then Norway missed a penalty. It could have been a slightly more interesting match at that stage, and France, again, scored with virtually the last kick of the game. But I think I'll back Erling Haaland and co. to be able to get past the Ivory Coast, but
I like it. I think so too. I mean, they've looked really good this tournament. I don't think the Ivory Coast is that great. And yeah, I think this is I think the best player on the field will be the difference maker. Like there are certain matches you get to where like even if you have the best player, there's still 10 other guys on the pitch that need to make a difference. And I think for this one, though, I think Holland puts in 2 goals and they win.
Oh, very specific. Up next, Mexico, Ecuador. It's
Good
an
matchup.
interesting one. Yeah, I mean, Mexico, obviously, one of the 3 teams to win all 3 of their group stages, playing in Mexico City, legitimate home field advantage because of the atmosphere plus the environment. Ecuador, like, you see glimpses of the team that they could be at different moments in time, but they haven't really quite clicked so far in the World Cup. It's a tough one because I think Ecuador is more talented, more skillful, kind of have the edge in every department actually on the pitch, but Mexico in better form and have home field advantage. So you can go a little heart versus head to a degree in predicting this one.
Yeah, they faced each other twice in the last 2 years and both ended up in draws. One was like a friendly, one was in, I think, like Copa America. So pretty evenly matched. I think maybe I just take the home field advantage here and go with Mexico. This is a toss up for me, and I don't think it in the grand scheme, long term knockouts. I don't think it matters.
I, you know, I know this is really silly, but we kind of, when we do our NFL picks or anything, you get to that stage where there's going to be an upset, right? This isn't going to go chalk, and you got to kind of
Oh,
figure out which one of them you're going to go with. And to me, I think Mexico are slight favorites for this, not huge favorites. I want to say that Ecuador are just the better team, and that I'd rather lose backing the better team than just believe in this Mexican home field advantage that's going to see them through a couple more
yeah.
rounds.
Yeah, that's fine with me. I mean, this was, as we mentioned in our preview, this was everyone's kind of dark horse country to kind of go for it. So yeah, I'm happy with Ecuador.
England against Dr. Congo, against the Democratic Republic of Congo. I think England had to be pretty delighted with how things have played out here in terms of who they get in the round of 32.
Yeah, yeah. I think I'm gonna have to use my veto here. No, I think
England,
this is. Yeah, you have to be
well,
happy for England here.
yeah, England have not looked great. And, last night was an example for them to show that the performance against Ghana was more of a blip than it was their form. And maybe the blip so far was Croatia in terms of things really looking good in that match. They also have a couple of injury concerns. Obviously, Reece James will miss at least this match. And that's a blow because they don't have a huge number of fullback options where they can trust. And then on top of it, obviously, Declan Rice sat out the last match. The presumption is that, that was more precautionary than it was anything else, and that he will be fit and raring to go against Democratic Republic of Congo and for the group stage and for the rest of the knockout stages. But, England have not looked great, but this is when the tournament really starts. I think they'll be fine in this round.
Yeah, yeah. I think it's tough. Those last 2 matches, you had 2 countries that were just content with sitting everyone back and letting England dictate. And like, yeah, it took them a while, but they did break through eventually. And once they broke through, that was pretty much it. So I don't know.
Yeah.
I think people are overreacting a little. Like, there's only so much you can do when a team puts 11 people fucking in the box. Like, it might take a while to score, and it took them a little bit, but they fucking did it.
Yeah, they fucking did. Argentina, Cape Verde. We can probably be quick on this one. I think we're both probably picking Argentina to go through.
Yeah,
Australia, Egypt. I think this is a tough one.
I think I'll go Egypt.
I'll trust that. Yeah, I'll agree with you. But again, I could see either outcome here. But yeah, I think we sort of saw the limitations of Australia a bit during the group stages. Egypt were not exactly spectacular, but there's a lot of experience and talent within that team. Obviously, they've
Yeah,
been really successful in recent years in the African Cup of Nations. Plus, you have the likes of Mo Salah there to kind of guide them through, and people who can deliver on the biggest stage. So, yeah, I think you got to back Egypt. Switzerland, Algeria.
Switzerland
I
won
think
their group
so.
stage.
Yeah, they did everything you kind of could ask of them, but yeah, I think so. And then Colombia, Ghana.
Ooh, a little bit of a tough one, but I think Colombia is the better team there. Uh, Played well against Portugal.
Yeah, they look good. They probably should have won the match in the end against
Yeah.
Portugal yesterday. And Ghana, yeah, we saw how resilient they can be defensively when they played against England, but maybe going forward, there's not a huge amount there. So I think, yeah, you got to give the edge to Colombia. I think when you're playing a side like Ghana, and there's a couple of instances of this, right? It's if you can score first, as cliche as it is to say, but if Colombia are, 1-0 up in the first 30, 40 minutes, then they're in a really strong position. And Ghana have to kind of throw their game plan out the window at that stage. All right. We can quickly go through the knockout stages. Germany, France. This is obviously the matchup that we had. We picked
Great
France to go
matchup.
through.
Yeah.
I was a bit iffy. I said I thought I might really sort of part of me wanted to pick Germany. France looked really good, though.
They look really good.
Yeah, I haven't seen anything for us to change our pick here.
Yeah.
Canada, Netherlands.
I'll go Netherlands.
Yeah. Portugal, Spain.
I think Spain is a much better country. I just don't think Portugal have looked very good at all.
No, but Spain haven't either. And look, it's so unfortunate. We spoke about the prospect of Ronaldo versus Messi in the knockout stages, and what a way for the two of them to, or at least one of them in that match to sign off. And we're going to be denied that unless it's a Portugal-Argentina final now, because Portugal were unable to win their group. This is still a great matchup, obviously, the Iberian derby. But I think Spain, you have to give them the edge. But I might be willing to rethink that depending on what we see from Portugal against Croatia and what we see from Spain against Austria. Belgium, USA?
Belgium.
Yeah, I think that's the end of the road for the United States. Brazil, Norway. Interesting fact. Norway are the only team to have played Brazil more than once in the World Cup and never lost.
Can they keep that stat going?
Well, all they'd have to do is get to extra time. If they can do that, technically they will maintain that statistic. That has to be
That's true.
So, that should be their goal, just to keep that very unique stat. But yeah, I think Brazil will have too much for them. I think it's hard to make a case for Norway.
Yeah, agreed.
England, Ecuador?
England.
I actually think this is a wonderful, it's in Mexico City. That's the big challenge England are going to face. And they'll probably be very happy if that ends up being Ecuador and not Mexico in terms of changing just how fierce the atmosphere might be. But I think playing a team like Ecuador, who are going to play in an open style, we sort of saw against Croatia that probably suits England a bit more. I think they'd prefer that almost to Mexico in terms of playing style as well. So I think this would be a nice matchup for England. I feel confident they would win that. Argentina, Egypt?
Argentina.
Switzerland, Colombia.
Ooh, tough one.
I think Colombia for me, I think. Which, interestingly enough, it would mean we would get to the group stage, the quarterfinal stage with what? One all-European half of the draw, France, Netherlands, and Spain, Belgium. And then a very South American flavor to the bottom half, other than England. Brazil, England, and Argentina, Colombia.
Yeah, that's kind of funny.
France, Netherlands.
France.
Spain, Belgium.
Spain.
Brazil, England.
I think you got to go England.
I will back them here. There are going to be some changes to my semifinal predictions compared to what we said pre-tournament, but I'll stick with England making it this far, and Argentina, Colombia.
Argentina.
And then France, Spain, which is the semifinal we thought we were going to have pre-tournament. We picked Spain to win this in the pre-tournament predictions.
As of now, I kind of feel maybe France.
I'm going to switch, I think.
Yeah.
I think, again, there's a lot of football to be played between now and the 14th of July.
We'll have seen another round of group level. You know what I mean? Like 3 more matches before we even get to this. So
yeah, and both of these teams will have had reasonable tests. If Spain have beaten Portugal and Belgium on their way to here, and France would have had to have beaten Germany and the Netherlands, probably, that will feel like these are 2 teams that have kind of shown us what they are. But yeah, I think from what we've seen of the tournament so far, I think France are the better team. And then England, Argentina.
I mean, Argentina have looked good. 3 nice wins. England have struggled a little bit.
I'll go first. I'm flipping. We had when we pre-tournament we had England, Spain in the final, and Spain winning the final, and we had England beating Argentina at this very stage. And I still think deep down that England are the better team here, but again, similar to the Spain-France conversation, I think from what we've seen from Argentina so far, I think they are the more informed side, and at this stage, I'm willing to trust that. Again, similar to what I just said about the teams up top, if England have beaten Brazil in the quarterfinals, maybe that is enough to change my mind if they've emphatically won that or played well in that stage. And in a sense, the interesting thing here is I don't think Argentina really plays anyone until the semifinal that will kind of change my mind over how I feel about them. Cape Verde, Egypt, probably Colombia, probably. All right, Colombia are a good side, but they're not in the sort of top section of the nations. England will have at least passed the Brazil test. So, but yeah, I think I'll flip to Argentina.
I'll stick with England.
Are you going to veto me?
I got to fucking veto you.
All right. Because we had the situation that we're picking France. We had the possibility of the rematch of the 2022 World Cup final.
Yeah, who wants that?
Of France against Argentina. Or we have literally my idea of hell, which is the prospect of France beating England in a World Cup final.
I like putting you in hell.
I mean, the only good news for me is I will be in Texas on the date of the World Cup final. So I will at least avoid the possibility of having to watch England lose.
When is it? The
19th? Sunday, the 19th of July.
The 19th. Okay. I will be in hell. I'll be with friend of the podcast, Tim. I'll be in a different kind of hell.
Yeah, we can't get into what will be happening there.
I think France.
Yeah, I feel pre-tournament we were picking England to make it this far and then lose, and we've not seen anything from England for me now to think they'll get this far and then win. But yeah, pick France. France is the winner, so some changes for us there based on the matches that we have seen so far.
But again, it is crazy to think about how much more World Cup is really left. Teams have played 3 matches, but just to get to the semis, they need to play 3 more. So it's just begun, basically. And I think a lot of people will have high opinions of countries right now going into this, and I think it's still a little too early to kind of make full opinions on a team that their third match. A lot of the countries were switching in players in and out to kind of just get a feel for other players, so they haven't even fully set up lineups yet.
Yeah, and look, there's 3 weeks of the tournament left. It's an awfully long time. It's a lot of matches still, as you said. And on top of it, too, for most of these teams, we've not seen them face a stiff enough test to know really what they're made of. And then weirdly, you can feel like, well, England's biggest test was Croatia. They passed that with flying colors. But then they were iffy against the 2 teams that we expected them to beat comfortably. So, you could kind of, if I were in the England camp, I'd probably be speaking, to my teammates saying, we've seen just how good we can be against the best opposition we've played so far. But yeah, if you're Argentina or France and you've sort of swept aside all of your opponents so far, it's a little bit easier to be very positive heading into the knockout stages.
Now, let me ask you, I mean, we discussed there's the first match is going on today. But then after that, it's 3 matches a day for this first round. Do you think that's too much, or would you prefer maybe just 2 in a day? Is 3 kind of pushing a little bit? That's a lot of football every day.
I like it because I think that's sort of part of the charm of the World Cup, right? Is that you need to feel slightly overwhelmed by the sheer amount of football you have to watch. And similarly to like when we talk about the NFL season, and it gets sad once you start getting onto maybe the NFC and AFC championship games, and it's like, oh, there's only 2 games this weekend. I feel the same way about the World Cup when you start to get to the quarterfinals, and it's like, oh, it's only 1 game a day, and then we're going to have a week off, and then it's only 2 games, and then we're going to have another 5 days off, and then it's going to be 2 games, one of which I won't care at all about. So I think I like it. I like it. Sort of feels, if you're going to go out and watch games, it means that you feel like you have real momentum in the atmosphere. It's not just, I'll see one and I go home. For me, staying up to watch the games at home is still kind of nice.
Yeah.
Difficult to balance with work. I'm doing my best though. But
Well,
yeah, I
I
like
mean,
it.
you've got a good draw with England because they play at 11 a.m. or sorry, 12 Eastern. So it will be
Yeah,
at
6
5
o'clock for me.
p.m. London time, 6 p.m. Paris time.
Yeah, 6 is perfect. I'm not a huge fan of the 11 o'clock or midnight kickoff that we've had at different times throughout. To me, that's the worst case scenario almost. I'd rather be later / earlier. Either you're like the 5 a.m. kickoff for me, and if you want to, you could just wake up a little early and watch the game, or you really go on a bender and you're still out and the night's really going. But as I saw last night, the problem with the 11 o'clock kickoff is it's just locking me in to the bender without any of the fun of the match towards the end of it. But yeah, no, there's some, and for the most part, right, we now switch, mm, you know, kickoff times. You've got mostly 9 o'clock, 11 o'clocks. There's some weird ones. Germany, Paraguay is kicking off at 10:30. I don't know why they have to do this half an hour increment. It's the only match that has that. Don't know what's
Yeah.
going on in Boston that day that they couldn't kick off on the hour. But I guess, you know. And I can't wait to stay up late on the 3rd of July to watch Switzerland, Algeria at 5 o'clock in the morning. That would be pretty special. All right. Any other World Cup related things to discuss?
No, I think we've covered it all. I've watched, I think, probably more football these past few weeks than I've watched in a very long time. And I watch a lot of Premier League. And this is still a lot.
This is, in spite of the fact that there have been more World Cup matches than ever before, I actually think this is the fewest number of World Cup matches I've ever watched in a World Cup since probably 2002.
Does time have something to do with that? Like the timing of the matches?
Yeah. And again, I'm not complaining about that because, football's a global sport and it shouldn't just be perfectly coordinated for European viewers at all times. It doesn't bother me. But I do, the last time this happened was obviously the Korea Japan 2002 World Cup. I was in high school then, so that was even harder to sort of adjust my schedule to see some of those games. But yeah, it does feel a little bit weird. There have been evenings where I've woken up in the morning and gone like, "Oh, I missed 5 World Cup matches." Like they just, they sort of have gone by without me
Yeah.
sort of really almost acknowledging that they existed. Any other sporting stories to discuss?
No, not really.
One NFL topic I don't know if you saw, but Fernando Mendoza has announced the most Fernando Mendoza thing of possible, that
Oh
he will
boy.
not be taking any sponsorship or endorsement deals for the first few years of his NFL career because he wants to focus on football.
That's so dumb.
I would love to know too, what he really means by that, because he must be taking, like, he must have a deal with Adidas or Nike. He's going to wear.
I mean, seemingly he doesn't. Wouldn't that be an endorsement?
So he's what? He's going to Dick's Sporting Goods and buying his own shoes?
No, probably the uh the Raiders are giving him equipment.
Do they do that?
Yeah. I mean, they do in college and stuff. I would
Yeah, but
assume
when
they
you
do
get
in
to
the
the NFL,
pros.
isn't it don't most players
No,
just have
I'm
their
sure.
own shoe deals? Even
No,
yeah,
I'm sure that they have a shoe deal, and then you can get your own to
yeah,
like
probably.
supplement that.
But yeah, I'd be interested to see if it's literally. I mean, it's also kind of strange because I've seen him in commercials over the last couple of months. So it's not. When was the cutoff point that this sort of arbitrary moment where he decided he needed to focus on football?
And are they that exhausting that you sign a $15 million deal at Nike that you're like taking away your days and nights of being able to train?
And that I can respect. If he said, I mean, look, if you want to go, yeah, if you have an endorsement deal where it's, hey, in in May of each year, I just have to go and make 4 commercials that then get aired over the course of the NFL season, but actually it has no impact on my football preparation whatsoever. Sure. If you're doing other types of deals that maybe have responsibilities throughout the season, then I can understand saying I don't want to I want to focus. I don't want to have to attend an event twice a year because Bank of America is sponsoring me and I have to go and shake some hands with some people to tell you what an amazing financial institution it is. And any other
I have,
non-sporting topics?
I have one. So I watched the first episode of Life, Larry, and the Pursuit of Unhappiness. It's the new Larry David show that's, I think, co-created with Barack Obama, or at least he's a producer, Barack Obama. Have you watched the first episode? It's airing
I
weekly, so have
haven't,
you
but
watched it?
I'm going to watch it. It is I've seen the some clips. I
It's
saw like him in the trenches or whatever in World War
yeah,
One. I saw that clip.
it's okay. It's very Larry David to a point where it's almost too much Larry David. Where like after 15 minutes, you're just like, all right, he's just like yelling and complaining and yelling and complaining. Like if every sketch is like, so I think there's 4 in the first episode. If every sketch is like the first 2, it'll kind of run its course very quickly because it's just him complaining. And it's just like rapid fire, like complaining about this, complaining about that, complaining about this. And what's kind of frustrating is a lot of the things are things that he's already complained about on Curb. So like, what was the one? So the first episode is about the Declaration of Independence, and he writes in like all these grievances that like Americans shouldn't be allowed to do, but half of them are things that he's like already discussed in Curb. Like if you order a dessert, you don't share a dessert. Like desserts aren't to be shared. You order it if you want it. If you don't want a dessert, you don't order it. But he's gone through this in Curb like in multiple episodes. So it's just like a lot of the same stuff. It was funny, and there were parts that were really funny. Like a few parts I like really laughed at, but there were a few parts where I was just like, "Oh, this is kind of dragging a little. Like, just get on with it." So it'll be interesting to see what the rest of the episodes are like. Um, but some of them were pretty good.
And it's sort of sketches or
Yeah,
it's
yeah. So it's him. It's just basically him as people in historical events in America. So like the first episode is him as one of the writers of the Declaration of Independence, him in World War One in the trenches, him sitting next to Rosa Parks, and that was probably actually the best one, was him sitting next to Rosa Parks. Um, and then I think there was maybe one more. I could be forgetting, but it might have only been 3. It was either 3 or 4. Um, but yeah, so it's just that type of things, like, and it's a sketch, like a 5-10 minute sketch that aren't linked at all.
I mean, I'll definitely watch it. But yeah, I mean,
Yeah, it's fun. It's quick. I think they were like 30 minutes. So overall, like it's a short episode.
and it's the tough thing, right? Because you're right. I mean, Larry David is Larry David in all things. And basically, Curb was the perfect vehicle to deliver Larry David's
Yeah.
personality. And so you kind of, I'm imagining I'm going to watch this and just say to myself, why couldn't you have made one more season of Curb Your Enthusiasm instead of doing this?
Yeah.
If,
Oh, and the other
if,
one is he's Alexander Graham Bell. That's the other one in the first telephone call.
yeah. We'll
But
see. I'll
yeah,
watch
no,
it.
but I think what made Curb good in its best seasons was when it was like he was really on, but then you also had supporting characters who would kind of also make it funny, but it wasn't so like I'm going to complain about every single thing and make you really uncomfortable and awkward. Like when you had that good combination or balance, that's what made Curb like its best. And so far in this show, because he's in every sketch and he's like the center of every sketch, that balance is lost a little bit. Like it's a little too Larry leaning in a way. Like you'll see, like some parts are funny and some parts are like kind of annoying, but it's good. Yeah, I
How many
suggest
episodes?
people watch it. I mean, I think
How
there's
many episodes?
7.
How many episodes of From have you watched so far?
Oh, no from.
Oh,
But I'm seeing more and more stuff about it that it's like I am. at the threshold, Eddie. Like, it's going to be one day where I'm at home and it's like, ooh, I've got 4 hours to kill here. Like I finished my work. I've got nothing to do. Let's start binging From. I'm like right there.
Yeah, I mean, once you skip the previously on From and the intro, which is unnecessarily long and just awful, might be the worst intro of any show that I watch. You shave a solid 6 minutes off the runtime anyway.
Anything else?
I want to say maybe. I think that's it. I have a game for us to play once the World Cup is done.
Oh,
So,
okay.
so that's
Is it
something
Tenable related?
No, but you'll really like it. I don't want to say what it
Okay.
is beforehand, but yeah, it's something that will need to be done in the dog days of summer, but we'll save that till the World Cup is over.
All right. Well, with that, I guess we'll call it a day.
Sounds good.
Talk to you later.
See ya.